Max and I have been talking about doing the next Two Tongues album, actually. We met up in the city a couple months ago, and he was still working on his new album. And he played me some of the roughs. And we were just sitting down at a bar, and every time we get together, we talk about Two Tongues. But it felt this time like we were getting closer to actually finding the time to do it. And I think that's the trick for us, is finding time when we could both get down on a couch together with our guitars and look into each other's eyes and write. That's how we did the first album. It was me and him just in a room, two guitars, riffing. You know, he'd say, I have this kind of idea, and then I'd say, oh wow, what if it went to this next, and vice versa. So we just have to find the time to do that, but we're 100% going to do another Two Tongues album, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do that.
The Early November is working on a record right now. I'm recording it at my studio, and we're in the process of it, and the album's due to hopefully come out early summer, so we'll see how all that goes. And it's been crazy. It's been really nuts because we hadn't all been in the same room together before our first practice for our reunion show. So it was like really interesting, all of us getting back together, and then we were like, you know what, we like each other, so we decided to keep going with it. But it's been great, man. It's been fantastic, and everybody's really excited. I'm really excited. It's crazy, really crazy. The past 5 years of my life since the band broke up have been like doing all these solo tours. Some nights there's like, you know, 50 people. Some nights there's a few hundred people. But like then to go out and play one show and there's like 3,000 people, it's like, man, you know, like it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to see that is still there, and it's great. I mean, I feel fortunate every single day, and I'm really excited to get going with it. So we are going to be touring this spring. We should be announcing that soon, and then see where it goes from there.
So doing a solo record is something that's sort of been on my mind for a long time, mainly because I write a ton of songs, always. I don't only write songs when it's time for a Bayside record, and then when we put 12 songs or whatever on an album, I certainly didn't only write 12 songs, you know. And I have very eclectic taste in music. I'm really into country music, and I'm really into ska and reggae, and I'm really into show tunes, and I like to try experimenting writing in those things. And as much as I can, I incorporate that into Bayside. There's definitely some show tuney kind of things that I've snuck into Bayside songs. But I try to write straightforward country songs, straightforward reggae songs, and that stuff can never become Bayside songs because I don't want to mess with that formula. I feel like a lot of bands have lost the plot somewhere in their career, you know, and I want to make sure that Bayside stays Bayside forever. So I had all these songs lying around. Like the oldest song on the record is actually like 7 years old, you know, songs that I've really just been sitting on for so long and never had anything to do with. And I was afraid of being one of those artists who thinks that everything he makes is worth hearing, you know, so like it took me a while to build up the confidence to actually release some of that stuff. I figured I had this tour coming up, so I went into the studio about 3.5 weeks ago. I recorded that record, and then I mastered it, I mixed it and mastered it the week after, and then I sent it to the CD pressing place a week later, and I had it out this week. So it was recorded, mixed, mastered, and pressed within 3 weeks, and now it's been like top 10 on iTunes all week, which is crazy. And the pre-order sold great, and the reaction to it is so amazing. And it's just this thing I did in less than a month, like out of my house. There's no managers, there's no label, there's nothing. It's like me, I'm like the guy stuffing the envelopes, sending the pre-orders out, you know? So it's cool, I'm so excited about it.
Both of the solo records I've done, I've recorded and played everything on them. And that's kind of in my opinion, that's kind of what differentiates that from, say, like a New Amsterdam's record, which is a record that I'm pretty much I am the primary singer-songwriter on, but it's with a band. The kind of DIY thing feeds into a lot of things that I do and that I believe in, and so, yeah, doing it. I don't know that I will do more records by myself because I find I'm not a good editor of myself. Like, I'm kind of like, that's fine. But if I'm in the studio, then it gets, you know, other opinions. But then you have to argue with people. So it's, you know, as far as the Kickstarter thing goes, it was definitely, I was a bit nervous about it, because I was kind of curious to see what people would think of the idea of doing a Kickstarter campaign, and also that I thought I had set the goal too high, and the response that I got from it was so overwhelming. We reached the goal in 4 days, and I was in a pretty dark headspace at the time when we started it, and that the support that I got from that really energized me and made me feel like I'm actually doing something worthwhile, because I was kind of questioning that for a while. But it's been a lot of work. I actually didn't get to rehearse much for this tour because I was filling all the packages literally up until the day I left.
The first Into It Over project, which was a thing called 52 Weeks. And what 52 Weeks was I was tired of the band that I was in. I was tired of the band, The Progress, that I was in. I think it had just run its course, and I decided to stop doing it and wanted to focus on just writing songs and being creative. And so I wrote, recorded, and released one song every week for an entire year. And all of the songs were autobiographical about something that had happened that week. And so there were 6 days to write a song and then 3 hours to record it, and then it would go online every Thursday. It was this free project that you could just go to intoitovert.com and download a new song every single week. And so when that finished, I decided it was time to leave, and I moved to Chicago and toured in a band called Demira for a little while. Just, basically just doing a couple tours with them, and that was it, just for fun, to get on the road. Came home and got a job after the band had kind of dissolved, and someone had asked me to go on and to do an Into It Over tour. And so I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. Like, I've never gotten to play these songs live, and at this point the project was almost a year old. And so I went on tour for about 20 days, just playing like little art spaces and houses and places along the East Coast. And I came home and I worked for another few weeks, and then I got asked to go to Europe with a band called Grown Ups from our town. And so I was like, wow, this is an opportunity I may never get again. Like, I'm 25 years old. Like, I'm kind of almost felt like I was too old to start doing music as a career. And I was like, oh, but if I don't take this chance, I may never get it again. So I go to Europe with Grown Ups, and I get back 50 days later, and I don't have a job anymore. And so I was like, oh, crap. And just kept going out on tour. I would just start booking my own tours and booking shows from the road while I was on the road. And I've been on tour since then, which was February 2009. So I have not stopped since then. And in the meantime, released 2 albums worth of material and a bunch of splits and all sorts of assorted material. So I'm just constantly working, and it's gotten to a point now where I'm able to actually do music for a living, which is really weird because I never thought I'd be able to get to do that. And yeah, it's what I've always wanted to do, so it's really cool.